Welcome to Part B, Day 1 of the Chronology of Humanity, prepared by Father and Son team, George and Dana Brown. Wisdom is knowledge with understanding. The Chronology of Humanity. Day 1 begins 6,000 years of history. That is, 120 jubilees. They extend unto the turning point, which occurred in the spring of 1996 AD. That's the beginning of the Lord's Day, the seventh millennial day, and the end of 6,000 years. Okay, Creation Week starts day 1 at 0. Then, 4,000 years later, we have the 5 BC birth of Jesus Christ in the summer of 4001 from creation. The turning point marks 1, the first fruits' entry into the eternal kingdom. Then, 1,000 years later, we have 2, the main harvest, receiving salvation. And 500 years after that, we have 3, the latter harvest enters the eternal kingdom, the last of the saints. And finally, 4, the tares enter the eternal kingdom as eternal servants. That's their lake of fire. Day 1, 0 to 1,000 from creation. Creation unto Noah. The royal lineage from Adam begins. People disperse throughout the antediluvian pre-flood world. Day 1 portrays the origin of humanity. 2 lineages were established in the Edenic Valley to populate the new earth. People then dispersed throughout the antediluvian, the pre-flood world, as pre-flood migrations and settlements populated the very limited pre-flood landmass. This is the map showing the approximate land area during the pre-flood years. The Black Sea region is north of modern Turkey, whereas the 4 river regions are shown in the diagram. We have 1, the prime river, the Jordan River, called the Pison. The Jordan River no longer has a substantial volume of water. In ancient times, in pre-flood days, it extended through the Edenic Valley, now beneath the Red Sea, and on into the Sea of Reeds, into the Indian Ocean. The modern post-flood Jordan River, now only a small stream, dumps into the Dead Sea, where the fresh water mixes with salt and is then distilled and comes back as hot fresh water near Beersheba. All right, now we have 2, the Nile River, the Gihon, that flows northward through Egypt, and 3, the Indus River, the Hiddekel, east of Assyria, that flows southward into the Indian Ocean. And finally, we have 4, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, called the Euphrates in ancient times, that flows into the Persian Gulf. Genesis 2:10 through 14. In ancient times, the earth was flat. That is, before the flood, people gradually settled the 4 river regions. At that time, the whole earth was flat, smooth like an orange, excepting a few deep holes in ocean bottoms that produce whirlpools. See the Gilgamesh epic. Deep holes led to natural distillation units. Okay, an example of the deep holes may be seen today as the deep holes led to natural distillation units. 1 is beneath the Black Sea. It's still working. It's like a bathtub drain. Note, in the lower left we have a little line that shows the Bosphorus. There you have two rivers, one flowing into the Black Sea, a large torrent of water, salt water, carrying all sorts of sea life with it. And it flows down because all the rivers that flow into the Black Sea are freshwater rivers. And there is a small river on top of the torrent of salt water flowing into the Black Sea today. That small river is about 50 feet deep, whereas the torrent is about 350 feet deep, and the fresh water is flowing out, and only a tiny bit of fresh water is flowing out compared to all the fresh water flowing in. The rivers are all trying to fill up the bathtub, but the bathtub drain is pouring out. The salt water is heavier and therefore flows down and displaces the fresh water. And the fresh water floats because it is lighter. The whole system then flows out into undersea tunnels, and we can see those around the world today. The ones in Arabia are visible. People have been swimming in them and so forth. The other byproduct from the distillation units is oil. That is, the sea life in the salt water is segregated out from the fresh water, and the sea life then produces oil. So we have oil being produced constantly around the world by these distillation units, taking seawater in and distilling the fresh water. The fresh water goes into the various tunnels, and the sea life then produces oil in other tunnels pumped out of the ground today in wells all over the world. The distilled fresh water then flows via underground rivers from such natural distillation units, and even under deserts such as the Sahara, Africa, and the Anufad, Arabia. The one that flows beneath the Anufad is visible south of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It has been reported that extremely enormous quantities of fresh water exist under the deserts of Africa and Arabia. See Saudi Aramco World. The quote, "The greening of the Arab East," unquote, September, October 1983. This fresh water is still being produced today. Okay, so examine the following maps quite closely. In a moment, we'll see a reproduction of the Nuzi map, the world's oldest map. The Nuzi map, a tiny traveler's map, depicts this once fertile valley in pre-flood years. Then, during the Great Flood, the Edenic Valley became the Red Sea, while other regions were pumped up from beneath the oceans. So here we have the approximate land area during the pre-flood times. The Nuzi map depicts only the Edenic Valley and surrounding area, a small portion of the pre-flood world. The four river regions are shown in this presentation. In the antediluvian pre-flood world, seabeds were of uniform depth, and the landmass above the seas was quite limited and without high mountains. Note very carefully the bulge on the side of Arabia, where it pushes into the Red Sea. Then note each of the following items. Number 1 represents the Mediterranean Sea. Number 2 is the River of Egypt, which flows through the Sinai Peninsula. Today, it is almost a dry wadi. Number 3 represents the Jordan River extended via the Gulf of Aqaba. Number 4 is Canaan, Al-Judi, the city of Cain. Number 5 is the Hijaz, a row of low mountains along the east coast of the Red Sea. Number 6 is Saudi Arabia, of course. Number 7 is Yemen. Number 8 is now Gulf of Aden, which extends into the Indian Ocean. 8 is actually the Sea of Reeds in ancient times. Number 9 is the Strait of Bab al-Mandab, existing in ancient times and existing today. Number 10 is Ethiopia. The little strip along the top is Eritrea. Number 11 points to the city of Ad in the ancient Edenic Valley. Number 12 is the Tikizi River, which flows into the Atbara River, which then flows on into the Nile at the Big Bend in the Nile. Number 13 is the Sudan. Number 14 is Al-Fayum, Egypt. It was called Mizraim in ancient times. So Al-Fayum is in Mizraim. You'll see this city, Al-Fayum, marked in the Nuzi map. Number 15 is the Gulf of Suez. The arrow points to about where the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, about 882 years after the Great Flood. At that time, the great rift that traverses through the Red Sea opened to swallow the water from the Gulf of Suez, and then closed slightly to create a tidal wave that drowned Pharaoh and his 600 charioteers. Okay, note there is a bulge in Arabia, and just to the southwest of that bulge is the city of Eden. So, if you were a traveler from Mesopotamia, leaving the Persian Gulf by boat, you would follow around, keeping the shoreline in sight. Then, when you reached the Sea of Reeds, you would follow along until you found the Pison River flowing through the Sea of Reeds. Then you would continue up that river to the city of Eden, which is located on your left as you approach the bend in the river just from the south. Again, note the bulge. If you were a traveler from the north by boat, you would enter either via the Gulf of Aqaba or the Gulf of Suez area from Al-Fayum, probably, and then flow down past the bulge, and on your right would be the city of Eden. So, this ancient map we're about to show depicts the whole setup. Here we have the redrawn ancient Nuzi map. Note the 3 fingers at the top of the Nuzi map. These 3 fingers shown on the map are now the modern Gulf of Suez on the left, and on the right we have the Gulf of Aqaba. The center finger is the River of Egypt, that today is little more than a dry wadi and no longer flows into the Edenic Valley, now under the Red Sea. Note also the Pison River, the Jordan River extended, bended about the area where Jeddah and Mecca of modern Saudi Arabia bulge into the modern Red Sea. The Nuzi map also shows the low mountains, hills, on both sides of the Red Sea. Numbers shown are the same ones displayed on the previous map. Start with 1, which is the Mediterranean Sea. Number 2 is the River of Egypt through the Sinai Peninsula, which is nothing but a dry wadi today. The traditional Sinai apparently pushed up during the flood. Number 3 is the Jordan River extended and went through the Gulf of Aqaba. Number 4 is Canaan, the city of Al-Judi, the city of Cain, located outside the Edenic Valley, north of modern Tama. Number 5, the Hijaz, is a row of low mountains, small hills. Number 6 is Saudi Arabia, of course. And number 7 is Yemen. Number 8 is the Sea of Reeds, now the Gulf of Aden. Number 9 is the Strait of Bab al-Mandab. Number 10 is Ethiopia. Number 11 is the city of Ad. If you read the Quran speaks about the city of Ad, spelled A-A-D. Number 12 is the Tikizi River, which is a very important river in ancient times, which flows into the Atbara, which flows into the Nile at the big bend of the Nile. Number 13 is the Sudan. Note the row of low mountains or hills. There were no big mountains in those days. Number 14 is Al-Fayum and Mizraim, which is the ancient name of Egypt. Number 15 is the Gulf of Suez. Note again the bulge in Arabia that protrudes into the river area, and the city of Eden is in the southwest of that bulge. So that bulge identifies where Eden is for travelers floating upriver to it until they see the city. The fertile Edenic Valley. Yes, Eden encompassed the region now occupied by the Red Sea. The Pison, the Jordan River, then flowed through the Edenic Valley and into the Sea of Reeds, from where it emptied into the Indian Ocean. Today, the Sea of Reeds is displaced by the Gulf of Aden, or Eden. The Nuzi map is the oldest known map, a pre-flood traveler's map, found in 1931 in Yorgan Tepe, near Kirkuk, Iraq, north of Babylon. This clay tablet, about the size of a man's hand, depicts the region now occupied by the Red Sea. The compass points on the Nuzi map were not labeled according to modern terminology. This practice has been found on other historic maps. Cain expelled. After Adam's son Abel was murdered, Cain was expelled from the Edenic Valley, that is, before Seth was born. Cities of Cain founded. Cain then founded the city of Canaan, north of modern Tama, Arabia. From Canaan, Cain's lineage established settlements on the Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, and Indus rivers. The first 1,000-year day began with creation week, 7 24-hour days. It began with Adam, number 1. Adam lived 930 years, so he started with 0 through 930 from creation. Number 2 is Seth. Abel is not included here because Abel had no descendants. Seth lived from 130 to 1042 from creation. He lived 912 years old. Number 3 is Enos. He lived from 235 to 1140 from creation. He lived 905 years old. Number 4 is Canaan. He lived from 325 to 1235 from creation. 910 years old. Now, note that most of the people in the pre-flood region lived 900 or more years. Number 5 is Mahalalel. He lived 895 years old. He lived from 395 to 1290 from creation. Number 6 is Jared. He lived from 460 to 1422 from creation. He lived 962 years old. The 7th is Enoch. Enoch was shown to have lived from 622 to 987 from creation, 365 years old. Now, Enoch apparently did not die at the point indicated. What he did, he was taken up by God. That's according to the elders. He was taken up by God. In other words, he disappeared and nobody could find him. He flew from the Edenic Valley to the South Pacific, and there he built on Easter Island. He built the 7 great monoliths, which indicates Enoch lived a great deal longer than 987 from creation. Number 8 is Methuselah. He died on board Noah's Ark. He lived 969 years old, and he lived from 687 to 1656 from creation. Number 9 is Noah's father, Lamech. He lived from 874 to 1651 from creation. He died 4 years before the flood began. He lived 777 years old. Number 10 is Noah. He lived from 1056 to 2006 from creation. He lived 950 years old. This completes day 1 of the Chronology of Humanity.